Welcome back to the Stephan Show. My name is Graham and welcome to my show. Cheers, guys. I got a CNBC mug today to fit this special occasion because just when you thought CNBC make its millennial money couldn't possibly get any better, because after all, that is the pinnacle of entertainment. It doesn't get better than that. Or so I thought, because they slapped us in the face with this morning. It is called, wait for it, Millennial Mortgage. It's almost as though they just made this show for me because I'm a millennial and I'm a real estate guy and I love mortgages. And this to me, I think, should be a brand new series of just everything with the millennial word in front of it. We have millennial money that we just all know and love, and now we got millennial mortgage to throw on top of that. And pretty soon I'm sure we're gonna have millennial wedding and then millennial dining, and it's never going to end, and we're gonna be forever so happy with this. So anyway, let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into this video, and it couldn't be any more perfect for me because this video is titled Buying a $599K townhouse in Los Angeles. Wait for it, Millennial Mortgage. And like I said, this is perfect for me because I live in Los Angeles, I'm a millennial, I got a mortgage. What more can I ask for? Let's get into the video and see what it's all about.
Having something to your name, it feels great. Like, people will say, like, you don't own the home, the bank owns the home. But if your name is on the title, you own it.
I hate it when people say that. Graham, you don't own the property, the bank owns the property. I'm like, do you not know how this works? Do you not understand the concept of owning real estate? They have a lien against the property. That doesn't mean I don't own it. Maybe I don't own it outright, but it doesn't make sense to own it outright because my money makes more money invested somewhere else rather than being tied up in the property. So like, this guy gets it so far. Other people who say that, just it blows my mind, the ignorance of financial education and real estate so far. But regardless, so far this video is superb.
Our home was priced at $599,000 and we put 10% down.
You know, I gotta say 10% down on a property in Los Angeles, it's pretty good. Like, I don't see that happening very often. The lowest I have ever put down on a property was 15%, which at the time for me was like, what, 15%? Are you sure you don't want 25% down? So congrats on them for getting in the real estate game with 10% down. Kudos to that.
I'm Verstar.
And I'm Janelle Yee, and we just bought our first home in Gardena, California.
Wait, I think it's missing something.
I'm Verstar.
And I'm Janelle Yee,
and we just bought our first home in Gardena, California.
Which is 20 minutes south of Los Angeles.
That is the big myth of Los Angeles, is that everything is within a 20-minute driving distance. Nuh-uh. No, I'll tell you, unless you're flying around in a helicopter, nothing is 20 minutes unless you're driving at like 4 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. Besides that, just double any amount of time that you reasonably think it would take to get somewhere, and that's how long it actually takes you.
We were looking for a place for almost a year and a half.
We knew right away that this was going to be a longer term home for us. We put the offer down immediately when we actually viewed it.
That is honestly the tough part, a year and a half of looking. I have been looking now nonstop for, I want to say, about 4 months to try to find a new property. I can't find one. I mean, it is so difficult to go and find not only a good deal, but something you're going to be happy with in a good location. Like, nobody's selling because a lot of these people bought the property so low 10 years ago and their property tax basis is like a third of what it would be now. So they don't want to get rid of it. So now they're just holding on to these properties, not selling them. And the inventory right now in Los Angeles, because of that, is absurdly low. And even for me, as an investor and a full-time real estate agent, like, I can't find anything. So the fact that they even found something, even after a year and a half, is also, you got to commend them for that persistence.
Ver actually works in Santa Monica, so we do like that it allows him to have that commuter experience. So he does take the buses and train over to work.
Wait, what sort of commuter experience is good for you that you want to take? Why is that ever something that's like, oh no, that's a good thing?
It's a good thing that you get the experience of taking an hour to get from Gardena to Santa Monica in traffic. That builds character. You know, there's just nothing that fortifies patience more than spending an hour each way in traffic. That is a good experience.
You know, she should be a real estate agent because she'll be the one that's pitching these properties and saying, no, it's not too far away. It's a good commuter experience. Way to turn a negative into a positive. That's what I say.
We have, you know, a 2-car garage where that opens up into the front door area.
No joke, anytime I go to a property, the number one thing I pay attention to is not the view, it's not the pool, it's not the house, it's the garage. Because honestly, that's where I end up spending the most amount of time. Like, to me, the garage is like the money maker. That is like the best room in the entire place. I love garages. So obviously, like, I'm a little biased towards garages. Yeah, how many times have I talked about a garage now?
We have solar panels which are owned outright, so we don't lease them. They just came baked into the price of the home, and that hopefully brings down our costs on electricity.
You know, that's awesome, and a lot of people always ask me what I think of solar panels, or if it's worth it to put a solar panel on a property. Here's the thing. On a rental property, you usually don't get the ROI on a solar panel, because the tenant is the one that gets the savings, and it's really hard to explain to the tenant, yes, you're saving $100 a month, so I'm gonna ask $100 more per month because you have a solar panel. To the tenant, it doesn't really make any sense, and a lot of these solar panels tend to be a very expensive investment, and technology is changing so quickly that what you install today could be completely outdated 5 years from now. So for the most part, I'm not installing solar panels on anything that I own. I have no intention of installing solar panels until maybe Tesla's solar roof would be the first thing that maybe I might consider. But overall, I gotta say, it's great if it's already included like this, but otherwise I wouldn't go out of my way to install a solar panel.
Next to the living room, it's just like a den. As you can see, it's a computer setup. This is my area.
Yeah, the only problem I see on this so far is that he has not smashed the like button on this video. If you have not done that already for the YouTube algorithm, that would be greatly appreciated.
When it's a real estate agent who's representing the buyer actually doesn't pay anything to the real estate agent that is representing them.
See, that is very true, and you would think that if you were to cut out the buyer's agent that you could save, let's say, 2.5 to 3% of the selling price. And it doesn't really work like that, because when a seller signs a listing agreement, they sign for a 5 to 6% commission, regardless of how the home sells. So usually when you go to a seller like this or an agent, they're paying the commission regardless. Every now and then you can try to negotiate it down, but for the most part, sellers just want to see their number, and the commission is more like an afterthought. So you may as well just use a buyer's agent, a competent buyer's agent, by the way, a good one who's going to fight for your behalf and really negotiate the price. And that way you can get the expertise of someone guiding you through a deal, and you're not really paying anything extra because of it. But with that said, let's look through some of these upfront costs. We got our down payment, $60,000, that is fine. Appliances, $4,238. But washer, dryer, and fridge. That, I gotta say, is a lot of money for a washer and a dryer and a fridge. The way to do it is you wait for a Labor Day sale at Lowe's, and then you go to Lowe's, you get them to price out and quote you on appliances, and then you take that to Home Depot, and what they end up doing is they end up beating that price that Lowe's gave you. And then you take that Home Depot price and you go back to Lowe's, you say, hey listen, Home Depot quoted me this for these appliances. I'm gonna go buy it there unless you're willing to match or beat this. And most of the time they will come down a little bit further and just beat the Home Depot price, in which case you just go with Lowe's. Now the way I was able to get my washer dryer for free is that if you get these high efficiency washer dryers in California, many of them offer you a $400 cash rebate for the washer, and usually it's a $350 to $400 rebate for the dryer because it's all energy efficient. Now my washer was normally $600 that was discounted to $400, which meant that after the rebate it was entirely free for me to get. And then the dryer, guess what, was a floor model that was slightly damaged. It had a little dent on the side of it. I'll take a video and I'll show you the dent right here. But because of that, that dryer was only like $50 or $100, I can't remember. But anyway, that allowed me to get a really nice washer dryer combo for completely free. If anything, I actually made money on that. But $4,238, it seems like a lot unless it's like sub-zero appliances. Well, we'll see shortly. But besides that, we got closing costs, $3,102. Home inspection, $522. That again is reasonable, and $600 moving cost, which also seems like a pretty low amount to me. So I gotta say their upfront costs are pretty reasonable.
So typically closing costs for buyers is like 3%.
And here we got the expenses, $3,851 a month, which seems a little bit on the high end compared to what this property would probably rent for. Now here's the thing, if they plan to live in this place for like 10 years or more, then chances are them buying it is going to make money. As long as they keep this long term, it's going to be fine, but this is probably costing them more than it would be costing if they rented it, because the mortgage, we got $2,663, that's obviously principal and interest. Then we got property taxes, $697 a month. That is standard in California. The way it works is that it's about 1.25% of the purchase price annually. So that is non-negotiable. That is the way it is. HOA fee, $180. It's a shame that HOA fee does not cover any utilities or anything like that, because I see that they have water trash recycling, $80 a month, on top of electricity that's $110 a month, with, by the way, PMI, $91 a month. Oh man, That is the one thing that I hate about putting a little money down, is that you end up paying PMI, and that's called private mortgage insurance. They end up doing that when you only put a little money down because technically you're a higher risk to the bank of defaulting, and so therefore you have to pay for an additional insurance just in case you don't end up making the mortgage payments and the bank has to foreclose on the property. But to me, that is entirely wasted money. I always recommend, at least for me personally, putting more money down to avoid PMI. But at the very least, they got in the game, they're owning real estate, even though it costs them an extra $91 a month.
Since we were already paying rent close to $3,000, we were looking at monthly payments that would be around that.
I'm really curious to see what their mortgage interest rate is, because that's really going to define how good of a deal they got. I'm gonna guess if they put 10% down, they're probably getting, I'm gonna say, my guess is 4%. Because when you put more money down with a great credit score, you're getting right now about 3.6 to 3.75, so I'm guessing with lower money down, 4%, that's my guess.
I started working for a nonprofit, part-time remote, along with working a full-time job, so that helped me save a little bit faster and also build my capital. And along with savings, I do have investment accounts and retirement funds.
Good for her, that's absolutely amazing. It seems like she did all of this herself, and I gotta commend her for that. This is some phenomenal work. Wow, at first I thought that was maggots all moving around in there, not ramen. So yeah, anyway.
I make my own cold brew, and this is why we were able to get a house, because I save money on coffee.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! I wonder, you watching the Stephan show? Is that you? But I also noticed that there's no avocado toast anywhere in that kitchen so far. That needs to change. If you're watching this right now, let me know. I know you're working in Santa Monica. I'm not too far away from there. So if you want to come and be on the Stephan show, I would be more than happy to have you on. I knew there was a reason that you're buying a property in your 20s. It's cutting out the coffee. #1 reason why millennials cannot buy a house: coffee and avocado toast. That makes me so happy. Really smart choice for doing that and not tying themselves down to a mortgage that they felt was just a little bit too high. I'm the same way. At this point, I could go and buy a $3 million property if I wanted to, but I would just feel so uneasy about having a payment that's that large. I mean, right now it's free. Right now I'm living for free, so I can't even imagine or fathom what that would be like to come out of pocket to live in a place. I'm not mentally prepared to do that, and I totally respect their decision not to max out what they can afford, because it's worth it, honestly, to live in a place, especially as a primary residence, that is a little bit less expensive, and that way you could go and invest the difference instead of tying up more money in a property. To me, it just makes sense.
Usually the prices will be a little lower if you just have to commute an extra 20 or 30 minutes.
Yep, that's another thing I completely agree with on this. I've always wanted to live in Venice or Santa Monica, but those areas are so expensive. So I ended up buying a house in Culver City, which was 15 minutes away with a little bit of traffic, because I knew that was way more affordable. Same thing right now, my office is in Hollywood, but I knew places there were so ridiculously expensive. It makes sense for me to live 20 minutes away, closer to mid-city Los Angeles, because I could get a place for a third of the price. So what if I have to spend a little bit of time in traffic? It's not that big of a deal. I just plan my day around traffic, but it's so worth it to get a place that is a fraction of the cost just for a little bit of driving. It makes sense. Okay, so that is maybe where we start to differ a little bit. I personally would not have put 10% down on a property. I would have saved up just a little bit more to put enough money down not to have PMI on the deal. Maybe that's 15%. Maybe you have to save a little bit more on the emergency fund to be able to do that, but that's where I guess I would differ, because you have to look at the amount of money you're putting down on a property to avoid $91 a month. And where's the ROI and the break even on that?
When we spoke with a real estate agent, they wanted us to get pre-approved, and that involves, having your W-2s, your tax statements, your proof of funds, and then, submitting it to a lender.
I don't want to say it's difficult, it's just, it's painstaking to go through the process of you submit all the documents, everything. And for me, it is a nightmare getting everything together, because I got to get together 9 different lease agreements, 6 current property tax statements, 6 insurance statements, bank account statements for the last 3 months on every single one of my bank accounts, which is like 7 or 8 accounts, plus 1099s, plus profit and loss statement for the year. It's so much. And then you send them that, and then they come back to you and they say, oh, you have this deposit here. We want you to source that deposit and show us where it's coming from. And then you wrote this check over here. What is that for? Why did you write that check? And it's just, wow, it takes me a few hours minimum just to get the necessary stuff together just to send. It's a lot. They definitely verify you and vet you very closely before they loan any amount of money to you.
And we got a pretty good rate at 4.125% on a 30-year fixed rate loan.
Oh, I was close. I said 4%, so I was almost on it. Oh, you know, what do they have? LG. It looks like they almost have the exact same washer dryer as I have, except they got a much cooler color than I did. Word to the wise, subscribe to the Stephan Show if you have not done that already, and hit the notification bell.
The underwriters typically are the ones who make the decision. So, you know, they're looking at your credit score, they're looking at your debt to income ratio, those things that I mentioned.
Oh wow, they got Brandon Turner's Bigger Pockets book on rental property investing. That's one of the books that I recommend all the time. I have a feeling they watch my channel. I would be so happy if they watch my channel. I'm getting excited at just the prospect that is a reality. That's so cool.
Now that we understand the process firsthand, I think it's definitely something we can do in the future.
Wow, you know, I gotta say, this is such a cool new series. I'm a huge fan. Like, I did not know what this is going into it. I think it's so clever. I love the story behind it. I love the fact that these people know what they're doing and they're giving you some really good tips. I don't disagree with anything that they've done except the PMI. That is my only thing that I might say I'm not a big fan of, but you know what, to each their own. It's $91 a month. It got them in the game to begin with. One could argue that maybe the money that they saved on the down payment can make them more than $91 a month. Maybe not, maybe it is. I don't know how they're investing, but regardless from that, they gave you some really good tips, really good information. They did it all themselves. I couldn't be more proud of them, and if you guys want to be on the Stephan Show, or you want me to drive down 20 minutes to get to Gardena, even though it's going to take me like 35 to 45, more than happy to do it, and we could do a follow-up Millennial Mortgage series over at your house. But overall, I gotta say, love this episode. It did not make me angry. If anything, it made me excited. I enjoy this sort of series in a way that's different than Millennial Money. Like, you can love two things, but love them differently. This one I love because it's close to my heart. Like, I am in Los Angeles, I love mortgages, I'm a millennial. Millennial Money just gets me peeved when people spend money. But overall, huge fan of this, really support CNBC. Obviously now we got the mug, and guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, if you guys enjoy videos like this, make sure to demolish the subscribe button and notification bell so YouTube notifies you anytime I post a video. Also, feel free to add me on Instagram. I post it pretty much daily, so if you want to be a part of it there, feel free to add me there. And also, if you guys want 2 free stocks, Webull is holding a promotion for the month of December. When you deposit $100, they'll give you 2 free stocks. One of those stocks is going to be worth up to $1,400. Use the link down below in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time.